truth?
I'm all ears.
Okay. The truth.
I always tell the truth, even when I lie.
Why do you find it so hard to believe?
Why do you find it so easy?
It's never been easy.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
All I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Truthful Talk. We are back, and I am Marco, and back with us today is Natalie. Welcome back.
Hello, Marco. Thank you for having me back.
Oh my God, it's not the same without you.
Ditto. Ditto. I feel the same. I feel like a piece of me is missing.
Yeah, we had to do a couple episodes without you, but you were traveling.
I was traveling.
Mm.
I was in New York City, New Jersey, all doing stuff all by my lonesome.
And how was that?
It's New York City.
Yeah.
And it's incredible.
Okay.
So you're with me in my heart.
Aw.
You guys were. So.
Did you do anything artistic when you were there?
I did. I took voice lessons.
Okay.
Close to Juilliard. But it's actually with a faculty member in one of these schools. I won't mention the name. But it was incredible.
Nice.
It was. So I think that anytime you do go to New York, please, especially if you're listening to this, you're more like, artistically inclined, I'm assuming. But yeah, go take a dance class, go watch a show, go do something that's gonna just give you just inspiration. The place I was in a rehearsal studio, and there was like maybe 20 rooms, but in each of those rooms were people rehearsing their Broadway shows, their opera, these 7-year-olds playing, the piano that they were learning with the teachers. Everybody was smiling. You could tell that they were in the most joyous center. You could just feel it. The receptionists were incredible. Like it just feels right when you're around like-minded people, especially for the arts or something like that. It's just.
Yeah. Well, it gives you fuel. It fuels you for what you want to do.
It was fueling, it was healing, it was inspiring, so it's just reiterates the motto that I'm kind of trying to live by, and I find it coming true the more I become mature. It's like surround yourself with the people who love what you love, who have similar interests, so you can align yourselves and you can feed off of each other. And I think it's very important, the community aspect of all of that.
Now, in voice, were you working on speaking, singing? What aspect?
Singing.
Okay.
Yes, to get some of the material that I've been hiding in the back of my brain now for quite some time, and get that muscle back, or awaken that portion of it to have ease and confidence and centeredness. And I feel like I wouldn't have been able to absorb what she was saying, because she was very fast, very obviously in tune with what she's doing. But with acting, it really helped, like, be able to be open, be with her, center. It wasn't something that I can't explain. It was just a much more grounded place from being ready to actually hear something.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And did you work on technique, or was it contemporary? Was it classical?
It was contemporary. And yeah, there were some basics that we went through, but it's very interesting too, like the muscle memory. It's kind of interesting. So if you have a little background in voice or acting and stuff like that, and you haven't done it for quite some time, and you get back on it, it might be a little bit bumpy, but eventually you find that opening space again. You're like, oh, there that is. And then it kind of becomes faster, or it just takes steps a little bit more quicker. So I was actually really, I was really content at the time, because I thought, oh no, maybe I have to go back to the basics. That's okay. But instead it was like, oh yeah, so she has been there, meaning my voice. It has been there the whole time. It just hasn't, got to dust it off. But it was a wonderful experience.
That's so great.
Yeah. I had like 3 sessions with her, and it was incredible.
And then you went to Jersey.
Then I was in Jersey, and this was for my husband and what he does. He's in hospitality.
Okay.
So he was going to babysit a restaurant that just
So
needed.
it's interesting because in Say Goodnight Gracie, you were from Jersey to New York. You were in the same place.
Oh my God, you just broke my brain. Yes.
Because you and Bobby traveled from
Yes.
Jersey to New York.
To New York. Yes. Yes. And by the way, I saw Bobby. I went to meet up with Fahim. I drove
at
into the
that.
city. I don't know if that's bananas, blessings in a wonderful way. But I drove into the city, met him at a beautiful little restaurant on the west side, and we had dinner together after he had his class up there, and it was just incredible.
Oh, that's so great.
Mhm. Yeah, it was.
Well, good. I'm glad you got to have this very artistic
Yes.
thing.
Yes, it was a blessing.
Anything running on Broadway now that we should be aware of?
I have no idea.
You didn't look at that?
I tried. I was trying not to get lost, grab the Uber and the train and everything, move out the way, step over somebody. It's like,
It's a different world in New York. I mean, it's so
advanced, yeah.
fast moving. I mean, their public transportation is amazing,
yes,
but it is busy.
it is busy. And then I was, on my way to the rehearsal. So I was on Broadway walking that way, and I saw these theaters, but I didn't have much time to sit and absorb all of that stuff. I was like, I have 27 minutes to get there, and I have 34 more blocks to go. And that's walking.
Did you eat anything good?
I was so focused that I couldn't even.
Oh, it's New York.
I know. Now, I smelled things that were so amazing, like
Okay.
the cartoons, when they smell, Tom and Jerry smells pie and it takes them by the nostrils and carries them. I was like, what is that? And it was the bread or the bakery somewhere, the Chinese place that just came wafting through. I'm salivating now just thinking about it, but I had to get to class, so I couldn't.
Gotcha.
So on my way back to the subway, I bought a slice of pizza, but it took, again, 34 blocks back into the subway and like 2 hours later because it was all messed up down there. So by the time I ate it, it was a joke. It was like, I was actually sad. My Coke was hot. It was just,
Aw.
but I was full in a way of artistry, but I didn't get to eat anything amazing, actually.
Well, that's so awesome, though.
Yeah, it was.
But it's good to have you back. And this is your first time in our new studio. This is our new, more permanent studio.
And it looks incredible.
So instead of having, for those of you who might not know, we were set up in more of a temporary studio where we had to kind of like set up and break down between podcasts because we're using it in a classroom. And instead, we wanted to have something more permanent where it's just fully set up. And so we did that when Nat was away. And yeah, now we're here.
You guys said you were going to set it up, and I had no idea how beautiful. Of course it would be. It is beautiful. This set.
So now
This
just
working set.
working set.
Working
Yeah, it makes it
studio.
easier for us to come in and just
Absolutely.
do this,
Yes.
which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some new equipment and everything else. So
You're in your zone.
it's just fun. Now it's just fun.
Yes.
It's a little more difficult when we had to do all the tech every time, set everything up and break everything down.
For us, it wasn't. For you,
For me.
because you were doing all the work. We're just standing beside you. Are you okay? We don't know what to do. But it looks amazing. And I can't wait for, future guests and guests plural. It's all set up for success.
Yeah.
Who knows who's going to be in these chairs?
Who knows? And we're also set up now to have online callers. So we can do Zoom call-ins and we can do phone call-ins. And so now I can start reaching out to people around the country and it's some of our people that we know in California, for example, or New York, and we can even do some of that. So that's going to be a lot of fun being able to incorporate all of that.
I can't wait. That's incredible.
So before and it's so funny, we do this every time. We get onto these like really cool conversations before the podcast, and I don't know how that happens.
You're supposed to record the
No,
rehearsal.
just press record, and we don't record.
Nope.
And so I want to get a little bit back to that because we stop and like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, why are we not recording this?
Yes.
This should be the podcast.
We're halfway done with it.
So, but we'll get back to that because we were talking about one of the concepts was loving your roots. meaning learning to embrace where you're from, who you are, whether it's your culture or your upbringing or just anything that made you part of who you are. And especially when it comes, I think, to culture, because we have a lot of students that come to the studio from other countries. And one of the things that they ask is, well, do I need to get rid of my accent? Do I need to, be more quote unquote American? And it's like, well, no, you are. Just be yourself. That's what we need. And so it's learning how to do that. And Nat was talking about, we have some students that did a short film, and we were talking about that short film where it was done in Spanish with English subtitles. And I know one of the things that when you're making a film, you wonder, well, should we do two versions of it? Should we do an English version and a Spanish version, or should we dub it in English, or should we? And it was like, no, it was great in Spanish. That's what the intention was. And that's who the actors were. And it worked so well that, no, we just have to lean into that.
Yes. And the director is Spanish as well.
Yes.
And AKA
Yes.
the writer.
Correct.
Yes.
So that's, and of course you write from personal experience. He's writing from things that he wanted to address from his own personal life. And to me, it works brilliantly.
Yes.
And so I think it's important that we learn how to embrace all the parts of us, even the parts of us that we may not like. I think we have to embrace them.
That's so difficult.
It is difficult. But if we avoid it, if we avoid embracing who we are, I mean, because so many people are like very simple things, like, I don't like my voice.
Yes.
It's like, well, there's nothing you can do about it. And you don't want to go around putting on a false voice.
Right.
Because we'll hear it. Many people have body issues. I don't like the way I look. I don't like my hands. I don't like, whatever it is. I don't like my legs. We have body issues. And it's like, no, but that's you. Just embrace that.
Yes.
And I'm all for health. I mean, yeah, keep yourself healthy. I'm not saying just go and just eat nothing but, chocolate, but even though it sounds good. But no, I mean, you got to keep yourself healthy, but we want to me, the optimal word is health and not an image.
That's a very helpful way to have a different perspective on that. Health and not image.
Because, when I go to my doctor and it's like, okay, you should eat less of this. It's not because of an image. It's because, well, your heart's going to explode if you
Right.
if you don't watch your cholesterol.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so health is important.
Right.
But to me, as an artist, I've always found when I feel the best from it health-wise, that's when I can do the most as an artist.
I agree. I agree 100%. And that's a lesson that hopefully students, as they progress through the Meisner technique and in classes with you and Rob, that those challenges of them putting themselves up for performance, that they're like, oh, okay, the next time I do this, I learned, meaning is I didn't have the stamina or the health, or I hung out the night before and I shouldn't have. There's such incremental changes that one almost has to make for themselves to be aware of that, because when you were talking about, how do I explain this? Characters that you play also are imperfect.
Yes.
Right? And those are the meaty ones, and those are the ones that you have to accept that obviously for them, but you also have to do that for yourself, because if you can accept all of that from yourself, then I think you have more colors to choose from when you are diving into a role, or, you have more flavors, and it's not just one thing. And that step-by-step acceptance is a practice, because you have to come from somewhere. But if you're pushing it away so much, that takes so much energy from you in and of itself, that you hate yourself. I'm fat. I'm not pretty. I'm all, et cetera, et cetera. And there's no depth. There's no bottom to that hole.
No,
It
there's
just
not.
goes further and further. But if you say, okay, this is where I am right now, and I can be okay with this, and this is my starting point. And I think that if you can take that throughout, of course, your life, throughout your day. But if you can also bring that to that character, I think that opens up some kind of relaxation, something that's a healthy way to start being in the moment fully.
Well, all characters are insecure. So there's even that.
Even that.
Insecurities, self-conscious. Characters go through the same thing humans do.
Mhm.
So when we can embrace that and somehow use that, but I know it's a difficult thing as well because, and it goes back to the accents.
Mm-hmm.
So many actors are worried about their accents, and usually they've watched something online or they watched a video where someone says, oh, in order to act, you need to have a standard American accent, or what they really say is you need to reduce your accent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, reduce your accent, meaning let me reduce where I'm from so I can
Right.
pretend I'm from somewhere else. And like, no, don't do that. That negates your entire culture, your upbringing, everything. And it's like, no, if you're proud of where you're from or you're happy with where you're from, of course, Matt goes into it as well, but no, embrace it. I love hearing all the accents in class from all places, and none of it gets in the way of acting because we learn voice, right? As far as the speaking voice, we learn how to enunciate. We learn how, we were talking about like slowing
Yes.
down. We learn the proper pacing of speaking as an actor. So even with the accents, we can be very clear with what we're saying, maintaining that culture.
Yes. And the more clear someone is, everything, your intention comes across clearly, your doings come across clearly. Slowing down doesn't mean you have dumbed yourself down at all.
No, not at all.
It's just you give yourself a little bit more space. And we were talking about the different languages, if you will, and people think differently. I'm Spanish, so I know that, there's a faster way to think when you are listening in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish very fluently, but my whole family, they're fast.
Oh, it's
so when you have them try to, the old timers especially, speak their English, that's
Yes.
not practiced, broken, and they're stumbling over because they want to be so fast. But if they just learn to it's okay, easy, like take the time with it. And I think that, you got to like crawl before you walk, first of all, but they want it,
Right.
Now. How they're speaking, they want it to come across right now. But it's like you haven't practiced English in that way. Slow it down and you'll get there.
So it goes into our next talking point, which is figuring out how to change our mindset from beating ourselves up with self-criticism to building ourselves up with more of self-pride, inspiration. And that's a kind of a pretty big pendulum we need to swing. But it's so important to me as an artist and also as a human being we need to have some level of pride in our accomplishments and in the journey that we're taking versus being so self-critical and constantly, we have students that will do this, that no matter what happens in class, which is a journey, the way we teach is it's a process. So we're never at a destination point. It's always we're learning pieces of the overall puzzle, but they'll leave class and always and immediately beat themselves up and say, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not like the other students in class, or I'm not where I need to be, or I should be further along.
Yes. The comparison is the thief of joy. And that is very true because it just takes time. And then it takes a teacher or a mentor to tell you time and time again, like, you're doing okay. And they authentically mean that. And eventually, down the road, you're like, finish class one day and you say, okay, well, I did what I could today. And I did my best, or that was good enough for today. Tomorrow's another day and I'll try again. Instead of having this complete enemy that you built up that you're just, kicking yourself on the way out because you're such an idiot and you're so stupid and you don't know, how could you not? And look at what they can do. They can cry on cue, or they can,
Right.
they're full and I can't even. And all of that it's a wasted It's wasted emotion in my opinion. But you have to be aware that you're doing it, first of all, so you could say, whoa, 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 who is that? Like, would you let anybody in the world talk to you like that?
Right.
Anybody in the world? Probably not. So if you can at least start to have a conversation with yourself as a best friend who loves you more than anything, I think, believe it or not, as juvenile as that may sound, I think that's a very helpful tool, because what you're doing is that you're going to start replacing that negative bully that's been in your life, the meanest, evilest person you can imagine, into somebody who's supporting you and saying, it's okay, tomorrow's another day, you've got this, you're amazing. And then it becomes second nature to you eventually. But even to bring that into the morning when you're brushing your teeth, just for a minute.
Right.
It's crazy how it builds, but we're just not used to that out there. Like being supportive of ourselves. We're not.
And, we try in class. One of the things we have is a saying that is reward yourself for the risks that you take. And that's so important to really understand that. It's like, okay, when you leave class, because what we tend to do is we beat ourselves up for the result of what we think something is versus what we think it should have been. But instead of focusing on the result, what we say is focus on the risk, meaning the attempt of whatever you did.
Yes.
Because if you can get into a mindset of rewarding yourself for simply taking the risk, regardless of the result, then you can get into more of a mindset of artistry. Because everything we do as an artist is simply an attempt.
Absolutely. I just finished watching something on Netflix, but it's about all the wide receivers in the NFL. Did you see that?
I haven't seen it yet. It's called Receiver. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
It is incredible, because what you will see throughout the 7 episodes, if you will, is the journey of these guys, these men, these humans. It doesn't matter who it is, in my opinion, athletes, at these high levels. It's a journey, and they have to practice at it all the time, but they have a conversation with themselves all of the time. It is not foo-foo. It is not stupid. It is not, girly, whatever one would call that. It's not something that doesn't work. What you hear, what you see, what you speak, all of that is important, especially when you do it to yourself.
Right.
And they say the coaches even, that they just don't have, they put a focus on, blinders on, and they are making sure that they're giving themselves everything that they need to be and feel forward moving through the journey in a positive way. They really are. And there's sometimes where they won't they won't catch something incredible. And you'll see them, they'll be a little bit upset, but they go, okay, stop. They stop themselves and refocus. So it is a practice, and it is not something that is alien, that is abnormal to do. It is something that the highest athletes in the world do as well. They have a conversation with themselves that is kind and productive and important.
It's so, it's incredible, and it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
But I do notice that most students struggle with it.
Yeah.
So it's a switch. All it is a switch. Don't focus on the result. Focus on the risk that you're taking.
Mm-hmm.
Be kind to yourself. Right? All of these things. Have conversations with yourself in a kind way.
In a healthy way.
So those are not difficult things, at least in context, to do. But so many students have trouble doing that.
Yeah.
So what's that thing that gets in the way?
I think it's repetition. Yeah, I think they just and their focus, repetition in, let's say, they have classes, they're full with their workload, if you will, but you have to start taking accountability for what it is, being aware of how you speak to yourself. I'm like, am I a complete bleep to myself? Am I a jerk? Oh, I am. Let me not be that. Let me try not to today, or for an hour or something. There is an accountability, because also in this wide receiver thing, they also say, "Oh, you know what? That was I messed up. I take full responsibility."
Okay.
And which I love that. Like I'm able to respond to the situation. Like, it was a mistake. I did it. I own up to it. I'll work on that. And you go and you move on. So
Right.
when we think that we make mistakes, we just think that we're the lowest scum on the planet and we don't deserve anything. Instead of picking ourselves up and like, okay, let's move on. Let's move on. And maybe it's momentum. That's another maybe conversation for another time.
Okay.
But I'm very big into momentum. Meaning is once you are aware that you're treating yourself like trash, give yourself 3 minutes. I don't know, cry in the corner or whatever. Time yourself. 3 minutes is up. Change your focus. Change where the flashlight is lighting. Because there's too much time that we're putting onto this, like a spotlight on the negative aspect of how we converse with ourselves. But so I think there's something about that. Like, okay, 5 minutes, I'm gonna go in the corner by myself. I'm gonna have a pity party. And then you come out, and then the 6th minute, do something else, move something forward.
Because otherwise you'll be in the momentum of negativity.
Yep.
So we can't allow that.
You can't allow that. You can't afford to allow that. You can't.
Because that stops your creativity. It stops everything.
Everything. It gets you ill. It mentally, physically. I mean, it stops the creativity. If we're training here to be artists here and better human beings, it stops completely. It clogs it. So if one is just aware of that, then hopefully you can get in that practice. Because if you're not practicing jumping out of it, you're practicing going into it. And there is no bottom to that.
Nice. Oh, I like that. So it's something that, we have to actively work on. We do in class, right? We work on it all the time. We work on I am enough, saying that over and over again. We work on rewarding yourself for the risks that you take and not the results that you think you should have had. And so those are like things that you have to do. But then beyond class, we have to do this every day in our lives. Because that's what you're saying, like be aware of when you're talking bad about yourself. We have to be aware of it in every aspect of our life, not just in acting, because we're only in acting maybe a smaller percentage of our overall life.
Yes. And who you are in life is who you are to me is as an actor.
As an actor.
I don't see a difference to it. And when I even, study these athletes, it's the same thing. These guys that are high performers, let's say 90% of them, or women as well. Every now and then you get people that are just crazy stories, but most of them, not only are they high elite athletes of the best in their whatever sport, but in their home, in their fatherhood, in their spirituality. You have to see some of these like how they get together as a family, and you can call it prayer or meditation or whatever, but it is a practice and the whole family is in and doing it. So again, it's not that it's magical fairy dust I'm throwing at people. It's a practice. And even if it's something that someone like what they do is daily, hourly, minute by minute, they're aware of what they're doing and they want to do great. They said greatness is what they want to do, and being full and in the moment is what they want to do. And I just think like, how is that not acting? How is that not like in preparation of that, like being open and full and in the moment and aware?
Same thing.
It's the same thing.
And I know people who, there's a lot of students, you start taking acting classes because you want to be great as an actor. But then there's an impatience of the process of where you're at because you have greatness in your head. And typically you're thinking of someone else, maybe a famous actor.
Yep.
It's like, that's where I want to be. But then there's a constant comparison of that. And it's like, well, I'm not there yet. It's not good enough yet. I'm not. Mm-hmm. And that's, again, comes in the beating yourself up. So patience to me is a huge factor, especially for acting. I mean, as an athlete, I can understand, I guess there's a little more urgency from the fact that you only have a certain amount of years to be a professional athlete.
Yes, this is true.
But acting, you have your entire life. There's no age limit to it. So you have so much time.
Which is a good and bad thing. because it's like you can rest on those laurels of saying, well, I have time. And then it's like, oh, but you don't, because if you can break up how you spend your day honestly, that's a bit eye-opening. It can be a little bit frightening to say, oh yeah, I just on my day off or whatever it is, I spent 6 hours in front of the couch and didn't do anything towards. But then you multiply that by the days that are inside the month and you're like, oh, okay, wow, I haven't really done beep. I'm bleeping myself. I haven't done shit. But in my head, oh my God, I'm doing so much in my head. In my head, I'm taking my classes. I'm doing this stuff. But then in the body, it's like, I'll wait for tomorrow. So what I'm saying is like, yes, we have a lot of time, but if we can just say, no, all we have is the moment, is today. That has been a new awareness for me now. That it's a bit profound for me. I'm like, woof. I've always heard that thought process or that motto, like live as if you were going to die today or something.
Yeah,
what would I do? I'm like, whoa,
right.
whoa. And I play with that thought in my head. And then this is, certain things that come up like, okay, what would I try not to be so negative about it, but I'm just saying if I was to live the most incredible day and things that make me happy, what would I do? Things that make me truly feel alive and sparked with energy and compassion and giving joy. And slowly things start coming in like, oh yeah, this is what I would do. So, but I haven't been doing it for X amount of time. So I'm just saying that, I guess, be aware of your time because we don't know how long we have. And what I think a blessing about these athletes, believe it or not, is that they know they only have a finite amount.
Right.
So they're every day. It's like when you break it down, I think it was like 18 weeks or something that they're in a season or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You would know more than I do, but it's not the entire year.
No, not at all.
So they want to play their best and their hardest or whatever it is throughout that. And so do actors, no matter where they are. I think it was Lucille Ball from the movie that Nicole Kidman did playing her, where she was telling, as Lucille Ball, she was telling the cast, like, listen, we are just here for, I don't know, let's say 6 weeks. That's all we're here for. Let's give them everything. I need your focus. Give me 6 weeks of your life to kill.
Right.
And then afterwards you can relax, but give me that focus. And that's what I see again and again and again, a pattern of having the ability to focus and then the momentum and take action and do that, whether that's homework, that's acting, that's rehearsing, that's dancing, that's singing, that's studying, that's what, like something has to be going forward constantly.
So then how do you balance? Because there's two ideas there, right? So how do you balance keeping yourself motivated and I guess an urgency? So you're constantly moving forward and, we always say be the hardest working person in the room. So how do you keep that going, but at the same time be okay with where you are in the process? Because if I just keep like, no, I got to get there, then that could lead to I'm dissatisfied with where I'm at. Right.
And maybe that alone, dissatisfied with where I'm at.
Because there's an impatience. Like, I just want to get there. I'm not getting there fast enough. Then that leads to I'm not good enough or I'm not working hard enough or, it leads to the negativity. So how do you still have the positivity or building yourself up saying, look, I'm improving. I got better today than I was yesterday.
I think it's a feeling of being in a zone, but in a way that's when you're in a joyous state, when you're in a place where, you're happiest, you feel alive, you crackle with energy and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something and it's 5 hours, flew by. But if I go to work at a job that I hate, I'm like suicidal by minute 45 and I've got 7 more hours to go. So I think that this feeling that what you have of like this happiness, this contentment, I think when you have a full day or something like that of doing that you're in a zone, full day, 4 hours, start small, incrementally. Start small. Like I'm going to do my exercises, my core for 40 minutes, 20 minutes. Start low. have a small set goal, 20 minutes this, 20 minutes that. I'm going to read Shakespeare for 6.5 minutes if you want to go crazy. But there's small incremental things. And then when you finish that 6.5 minutes, how do you feel? You feel good because you did something. You don't feel like a piece of crap that you didn't, because you have all these books that you've built or you bought all these years and you haven't done something. There's a reason that you want to be an actor. There's a reason that you want to purchase plays. It's there for a reason. It's not because you're just someone who doesn't have the attention span to do it. It's just that the small goals, if there's 6 to 10, something small. I don't care if it's like brushing teeth, staring out the window for 7 minutes. But what you're doing is that I think you're setting up a nice little schedule, a little pattern. And I think that when you start feeling that way, other things open up so that when you finish your day, you don't feel like a complete jerk or a negative asshole because you're like, oh, I did the things I wanted to today, and tomorrow's going to be, I'm going to challenge, I'm going to go 7.5 minutes tomorrow.
Right.
So I think that journey, that progress is a beautiful thing. I think it should not feel like a pain in your chest and your heart and you want to pull your hair out because you didn't, memorize the lines as well as you could have.
Right.
So I think that feeling of being hard on yourself, terrible, or abusive to yourself, I think that's a tell that you're not doing it correctly. You need to do it with the love, I think. And I think that if you follow that, it's just gonna build the momentum, and then the balance just is there naturally because you have love to give from that.
Nice. And I think I like we were saying too about setting proper expectations on yourself.
Yeah.
Start with the 6.5 minutes today, 7.5 minutes tomorrow. Like build it up instead of saying, okay, I'm going to start a process today. I'm going to do an hour of Shakespeare, and then 10 minutes in, I'm done.
Right.
Like mentally, I'm done. So, because if you're not used to reading something, if you're not used to memorizing, if you're not used
Different language, Shakespeare.
if you're not used to it, it can be very daunting. So
Yes.
setting small enough, tangible, doable goals will allow you to then feel good when you complete them.
Yes. And then following that feeling continuously, like that's kind of like the line that goes straight towards like, oh yeah, okay, I have my dance shoes that I haven't opened in 10 years that have always been there, and I've never thrown them away because I've been wanting to dance. So these small things around you, your awareness, like, oh yeah, that too. So you start building that for yourself, a life for yourself that gives back. Yourself is giving back to you, like positive, wonderful, joyous, loving energy.
So that's really great advice for, I think, training in anything, right? I think it doesn't matter if it's acting or really it's training in anything.
Diet, nutrition.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
another good, because that takes step by
another
step. That's a
episode.
whole other
We're not going
thing.
to talk about that.
But then what about artists? And because I'm trying to remember back
Mhm.
when I worked with you back then versus now, because my memory is all now.
Thank God. Just kidding.
But you've reached a point where you perform, and then you have a very short memory of the performance. When you're done with the performance, you kind of let it go, and then you're
Yeah.
in the moment. Where most actors perform and immediately they're self-critical about the performance they just did. And this could be like in a run of a show, for example, or on set or anything else.
Yes.
And so what's the switch that happens to go from walking off stage and being, oh, I wasn't as strong today, or I didn't hit that that point, or the emotion or whatever it is. Where do you go from being critical when you walk off stage to being just letting it go and saying, nope, that was today's performance?
I trust my director. That is not my job to direct myself. That is not why I'm there. I am there as a piece in the entire puzzle. So whomever the director is, but luckily, blessedly, it's been you in a lot of ways. Some directors, I'm like, I shouldn't have trusted them and put
Right.
myself in that. But most of the time, what I'm saying is that there's only so much capacity I have upstairs in my brain. I don't have, nor do I find it a fruitful aspect of utilizing my time to go back to imagine that I'm the one that knows better than what I'm doing on stage, even though I do. In the character, in that, all my focus, all my stuff is towards what I'm doing. But at the end, I have to let go. So there's a trust. I choose to trust. And I found that when I chose to trust, it just naturally lets go. And when I exit the stage, it takes me, I'll just, take a couple breaths, but it's over. So to me, there's an over. It's like it's done. Like everything, is born, lives, and then it dies, if you will. And I'm at peace with that feeling, no matter how my performance was that day. I just try to do more full, more whatever than the previous. And that's all I can. And if it's in line with what the director wants, that's my job as well. But I want to make sure that if there's something that I missed, that he's gonna or she's gonna, make sure that it's addressed so that the following day, I'm okay, got it, perfect. But I'm not going to entangle myself and torture myself and just be like, I could have done better. Oh my gosh, that to me takes away completely. It's a useless thought process and emotional process. And then I also have a beginning and end, even in classrooms as a student. And as I go in and I'm like, there's a prayer, there's a meditation. Like, let me be open to whomever I need to be. Let them be open to me. Let this core, this thing happen the way it's supposed to. So my ego is hopefully out of the way, and it's just from my heart, and that's what I'm trying to do. But then at the end, I say, thank you for this. So there's a beginning and an end, and there's something that has to stop. But I try to never have my whatever that is saying, you idiot, you didn't sit on the chair on the way it was supposed to. And again, it just literally, it makes me tense just even thinking about it. It doesn't do any justice for me. I like to be relaxed and in a zone. I don't know if it's too long of an answer.
Well,
yeah, kind of, yeah.
No, but I hear what you're saying though. But it is a process. Meaning, as actors, we typically start off more self-critical, meaning because we're focused on what we think it should be. And where we have to get to is just being in the moment, giving it your all, of course, putting everything you have into that moment, but being in the moment and then just letting it be whatever it is.
Yes.
Because it's different things. Every night of a performance is different.
Correct. So how can I just can't in my head do that. The capacity. Maybe in the beginning I did, but I always like, oh no, that's not for me. And I've seen actors really do a doozy on themselves when the show was over. Yeah. And it's sad. And it's like, I can't believe it. Wow. If you took all that energy and just rested and just did better tomorrow.
It's a good point.
That's it.
Channel all that energy back into your art.
Just accept what happened. And then you're like, okay, tomorrow's another day and I got this tomorrow. But
yeah, I mean, we have to evaluate after each show, after each audition, after each class. We evaluate and say, okay, what worked well, what didn't work well, and why. And it comes back to sometimes we might be upset with ourselves because we didn't do the work in preparation. It's like, okay, we'll learn from that.
Yes.
Next time, do the work in preparation.
Yes.
You just learned a lesson of what happens when you don't prepare. But then there's sometimes when the performance is fine. It's really effective to the audience, but we just didn't like it for some reason. For whatever reason. It's weird.
Yeah.
And then we get back into the green room and there's beating ourselves up. And it's like, wait.
Yeah.
The performance was fine.
Right.
The audience liked it.
Stop slamming your head against the wall.
You got a standing ovation. What more could you get?
What more could you get? But not enough. Yeah,
but not enough.
Not enough for them, And I don't know. Maybe that's a maturing thing, or I don't know.
I think so. I do.
Release and let go,
Yeah, I think it's a maturing thing. I think it's also the training.
It's a training
As
thing.
you go through the training, the one thing we work on through all of the training is being in the moment.
Yeah.
With every tool that we pick up, it's all in some way about being in the moment, whether it's our free association tools, our writing tools, our spoken tools, our emotional tools. It's all about being here now.
And maybe that's the short answer to when you asked me the question. That's it. Being in the moment. When I leave the stage, it's over. So this is a new moment. I'm now in the green room. I'm now changing my clothes. I am not there. I'm not 4 minutes behind myself. I'm just not. I'm here, So being in the moment, I think.
Funny enough, because we even talk about, too, having a separation between being on stage and being off stage, which could mean anything. I mean, that's for actual theater work. That's for auditioning. That's for class. That's for film. What it really means is being on stage representative of in the moment of acting versus when you're done, and creating a separation where once it's done, we let it go. We don't talk about it. We don't touch it. We just let it go. So like if you go to an audition, you walk into the audition room, great, be in that moment, give everything you have no matter where it goes or what happens. But when you're done, have a very short memory like it never happened.
I have a fantastic short memory.
Which is what we need. That's what...
Maybe it's just, I was born that way. It's accidental.
I think that's what we need.
Yeah.
But the training, we're so conditioned in life to be focused on all the negativity around us.
Oh, yeah.
It's everywhere all the time.
Yep.
It's on social media. It's on the news. It's everywhere. So, and it's just part of our culture, I think. And I don't know, but it's part of the negative culture is there.
Mm-hmm. The easy. Oh, finish your thought. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was part of the culture, like the easy train or whatever, that escalator, or the one that just drags you in the airport, just you stand in it, slide. The easy train, so
Right.
You do that and you're just like, oh yeah, let me just go with the flow and whatever social media and society is. But then nothing worthwhile is easy. It takes work. It takes the work to do it. And awareness is work, or practicing that is work. So if you can in the morning, surround yourself with all of those healthy images, because images are great to have, if you will, but if they are of something that's going to propel you forward in a healthy, beautiful way, that's wonderful. And have that around you all the time. Alarms are my best friends. I don't like the word alarm, but some kind of beautiful, use your phone as something to help you. So that every 2 hours you're doing this, 1 hour you're doing this, and just do that one thing.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, instead of you trying to think that you have the capacity to do 98 things at one time. Sure. Go ahead. Do that for a couple of years. See where that puts you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah. I just think as actors, if you want to be an actor, or you're already an actor, or you're in, and I say actor, it's really all of artistry, but of course we focus on acting here. But it's training yourself, and it's working on it day in and day out. Everywhere else in society is going to train you to be in your head and think. Social media is doing just that. We're reading text in chat threads, and it's mostly negative, unless you're on the cute puppy threads, which are right.
Yeah.
Those are the ones to be
Warm
on.
your
The inspirational.
heart. That's what you need to be on.
But when we're on there just reading about the bad things in the world and the negative comments about things that are happening, or the criticism about things that are happening, or, all of the politics, which is mostly negative, it trains us to be in that negative state. It trains us to be in our head.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to learn how to be in the moment, we need to disconnect from all that and actually be in the moment.
Yep.
With our positivity. And do that over and over and over again. And to me, that leads to, like just being prepared. The more you train, the more you're going to be prepared. Mm-hmm. The more prepared you are, the more confident you are.
They go hand in hand.
Right, it all
Preparation is key. Prepare yourself. I always say this, set yourself up for success so the future you thanks you. And I'm talking really minute, trivial things, like I put the tea bag next to the microwave so that tomorrow morning I'm not looking for the tea bag in the pantry. And to me, that's a motherfucking win.
See, look at that. It's the little things. The little things make a big difference.
You think it doesn't. It does.
Yeah. Well, we overlook the little things.
Yes.
On the first day of class at TA, we say, write these 3 words down and then look at them and say them every day. And those 3 words are, I am enough. And so many students won't do it because they think it's too small. It's silly. It's not, it's not profound enough.
Sure.
Like, oh, how am I saying these 3 words going to make a difference? Because if you do it every single day, the 100th time you do that, it's going to have an effect on you, whether you want to or not. But it's the repetition of putting those words inside of you. It makes a difference. Something as small as that.
And give it a go. Like if you're in acting class and the teacher is telling you X and Y and Z and you respect the teacher and you know that this isn't someone who's there to, throw you in front of a train, like this fear, like it takes a time to trust the teacher. Like, okay, you're awesome. But to actually absorb what they're saying, implement it, be a student, be a great student of that. If you're not on the bicycle, so someone who says, I am enough. Okay, he wants me to say it 100 times. Okay, whatever. And you're now 4 years into it. And then someone who just was like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and say it every day. And what I'm saying is they're ahead of you psychologically or emotionally because they just jumped on. Go. Life is too short. Try it because what you're doing currently isn't really working.
Right.
It's not working. So go ahead and what is that going to do to you? Just say it out loud in the morning when you see yourself in the mirror. It's, I love you. Even if you don't mean it, just say it. And a little bit by little bit, you're going to start blossoming. I think I told myself that the other day walking out of the restroom at the restaurant. I love you. And this woman goes, I love that. Oh my God. Not a stranger. But it was just so sweet that something just, it became a habit. And then it went to a human being that I don't even know. And she was like, that's incredible. You say that to yourself. It's just, I don't know, silly, but it's simple. There's simple things.
It'd be cool to know if she picked that up and did something with it.
Maybe when I walked out the door, she's like, what an idiot.
Well, hopefully
I don't care.
Hopefully she was inspired by it and tried it.
I choose to believe that she was. Because I felt that she absorbed that. And she was profoundly just like, wow.
Yeah, it's easy to be critical about it, but that's just fear. Like,
sure,
right?
yeah.
But if you can actually see that in somebody else and say, wow, that's really, I want to try that.
Yeah, well, just give it a go.
Yeah.
Nothing to lose.
So, okay. So lastly, in the little bit we have left, we'll just continue talking about the importance of training. And of course, we talk about that in most of our podcasts and most of everything we talk about, train.
Because it's important.
And, we've talked about it a few times as well with different guests, even of natural actors and why when we see someone that's quote unquote naturally talented, why they need training as well. And Sam, my wife, and I have this debate all the time because, she's constantly trying to show me is see, look, that person has some sort of natural talent. That's why they're able to do it. And I'm like, well, no, they trained at it. And yes, I believe that people have inclinations towards something. Like people, it's in your personality. It's like you're drawn towards certain things. You're drawn towards music or singing, or you're drawn towards maybe performing athletics. We're drawn towards different things. But without the training of it, it still needs to be cultivated.
Yes, absolutely. There's nothing worse than, having an inclination and years or time goes by and it's just saying that, that you could have trained way back when, if you will, but no matter what discipline you do have, you have to have training. And that sits with me, it haunts me at night, or it stays with me. And I think it's a very good thing because we're so afraid of work, AKA what that entails. And all it is knowledge, muscle memory, education, imagination. Like they all go together with obviously technique of the aspect that you're doing. So what I find unique about actors, and maybe this is why it's difficult for actors, is because this is internal.
Right.
I can't show you, physically. I have to actually be it. I actually, we have to be in it. We can't just, show me what happiness looks like. Show me what devastation looks like. You're like, oh, well, but you train to get to these places.
Yeah.
So without that, you can only go so far, is my belief. Eventually, someone's going to stop you and say, you might need some training.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the road, or
Right.
we're going to get you some training.
Right.
Whether you're already signed and you're already this, but they will. It's going to come knocking.
I believe that telling someone that they're naturally talented is actually a negative thing. Because if someone starts believing that they're naturally talented, even if they have an inclination, listen, there are people that things come easier to. Some people, math is very easy to people, or science, or language, or whatever it might be, singing, or it might come easier. But the moment we start believing that we're quote unquote naturally talented, I think it stops us or puts it in our ego to where we don't need to train further.
Yes, it's a very good point.
And I've seen so many people that when something has come easy to them early on, it stops them at some point. And if you have an ego built up that, no, I'm supposed to be naturally talented, then what do you do when you hit that? When someone says, oh, you need training, are you defensive against that? Or are you like, what? Your ego's already built up.
So far, most people that I know that are that way, their ego is already built up. And then I think then this also separates the people who truly love it. The people who have been told that, and then they have been told since, young, oh, you're naturally gifted. And they ride that wave beautifully. And then they recognize that, oh, there's the wall. There's why I have to change. Whether it's my agent told me, my directing teacher told me, like, you only go, this is as far as you can go. Get some more training. And I think what takes those people over that wall is love for what they do. I think that's the transition between someone who's like, how dare they? And this is real. Someone actually just recently said this to me. I cannot believe that my agent told me I have to take classes, acting classes. I have been doing this. They work for Disney. I've been doing this for a long time. They're saying that I'm too big. I cannot. And with hate, with anger, with this, and that's not just one person. It's like 3 different people from 3 different. And I'm just saying that eventually it's going to catch up to you. And that's
the
think
ego,
that
right?
The ego. But I don't think she loves acting enough to take her into that side which says, my agent told me I need acting. Do you know of any good acting teachers or any that place where the humility or the love that takes you? Say, I want a combination. I want to get to. I want to be, a contender or get these roles. But so if this is the bridge I need to take, I'm going to take it. But instead, it was like, and different, expletive, stupid agent doesn't know expletive. I'm gonna go get a job on a cruise ship. Or whatever she was doing.
All right. Well, because that's the other answer, is to run away from it. It's like, I don't want to face my ego that I'm not naturally talented to where I need. I've been doing this forever. I don't want to take acting classes. I don't want to have that humble feeling like I still need to. So therefore, I'm just going to go work on a cruise ship.
Yeah. And I don't know. I really do think that there is a separation between love and and just, intense hobby that we have.
Right. You have to love it to where you're obsessed with it.
Yeah. So you want to be better. It doesn't matter what anybody says to you in that. But if these are the people that are the gatekeepers getting you to this place to the next place.
Yeah. Because I've run into so many actors over my years that, especially ones that, for example, could memorize easy. Like I've run into a few actors that had photographic memories. I never understood photographic memories, but they literally could spend 10 minutes just looking over a script and they would have it word for word. It was amazing. I guess their mind takes like a picture of it. But what I found is that they would do that, but they'd still have to think to say the words. And they wouldn't do the work to put it instinctive to where you could feel something.
Yes.
Because they could just memorize so quickly. They would have it in their head. They could see it, but they were constantly thinking and their acting was flat. But they wouldn't do the work to go further. because they had this quote unquote natural ability,
Yeah.
right? Which is, I mean, listen, a photographic memory, that's pretty freaking cool.
Like a whale,
But,
right?
It's,
You know,
it's
whales,
really
that's
cool. But at the same time, you still need to go further.
Yes.
You still need to be in the moment. You still need to feel something. You still need to know what the words mean. You still need you still need to have the story and all of the personalization that we do and everything on top of just memorizing.
Yeah, that's a very interesting. It's just so very fascinating to me because I just think like, okay, then they probably heard that from other people as well, and they just don't want to acknowledge that, you know, the common denominator of the issue is me, you know,
Yeah.
and, you know, they just don't want to, because either they haven't heard it yet or they're going to hear it in several different ways. But it's like, if you love somebody and someone tells you like, could you, you know, not do that? Or, you know, and it means something trivial, whatever it is. So we can just have a healthy relationship. Could you not, you know, leave your, I don't know, coffee mug on the bed or something like, but you keep doing it. Why? Because you're just a jerk. I don't know, but it's like, it's that simple. You might just need classes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's okay.
It's okay. It doesn't make you, you know, dumb or less than, but yeah, that's like maybe therapy.
Yeah.
Like a little bit.
At some point,
At
yes.
some point, if they keep thinking that it's everybody but them.
I know. But I guess the biggest message out of all this is put your focus back in what you love.
Yes.
And just go after that and love it. Love what you do. Have a love for what you're doing.
And surround yourself with people who have the same love about the same kind of things that you love, because then you have a community and you're pulling each other forward in the same wavelength, no matter where your family comes from or what they're doing, but you're building that passion tribe around you. And when you see people around you doing those things, it does nothing but spark you to do even more, and you feed off of each other. And I think who you hang out with is imperative.
Very nice. Very nice. Very well said. So that is the end of this episode.
Wow.
It went fast.
It did, right?
Well, it was great having you back, your energy and
for
everything
sure.
else.
It's not the energy
back,
drink
so-
I'm drinking at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. But it's good to have you back, Nat.
It's good to be here.
All right. And for everyone out there, thank you once again for tuning in. We really appreciate you listening. And we will be back again with you soon. So until then, remember to treat yourself with kindness and reward yourself for the risks that you take.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
If you'd like to learn more about our studio and what we do, you can find us online at truthfulacting.com. And check out truthfulactingonline.com for our Learn at Home at Your Own Pace courses.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.